Instagram models are some of the most popular people in society, with every girl wanting to be them and every guy wanting to, well, you know. However, aside from their looks, one thing these Instagram bodies are known for is their insane lifestyle. And even though they'd have you believe that their money comes from their sponsorships and brand deals, many of them actually have another source of income that pays the bills. A job that pays some people's yearly salary in just one night, with the only catch being that it requires them to do some shitty things. We've all heard the rumors about Dubai.
Go Dubai, them take your face and shit it up.
But how true are they really? Well, why don't we ask the victims themselves?
Mr. Ali is paying me 50,000 US dollars unprotected, and I will let Mr. Ali lick the humus of my feet. I will also his virgin brother, who is 13 years old.
Well, maybe victim is a strong word, because what you just saw was a consent video of this woman admitting on camera that she was about to go to Dubai to participate in these insane acts, including bedroom fun with a minor. And if you think this was coercion or that there was a gun to her head behind the camera, it gets even crazier when you read the messages. The chat reads, "You are a goddess." Thank you. Where are you from? Currently live in London. You? Nice, I'm in Miami. Do you come here often? I love Miami. I've been here 3 times for quote-unquote business. The two talk some more and he asks her if she's ever been to Dubai, which she says she's been there once and she wants to go again. Little did she know what that was about to entail. This guy explains that his family is involved with real estate, oil, diamonds, and many other things that make them rich. And as she's getting to know the true wealth of the man she's dealing with, he then asks her an insane question. Would you be okay with signing an NDA contract? Perhaps she was suspicious or apprehensive about it initially, but by the time he said he would offer her $30,000 to come to Dubai, signing that NDA was no problem. Saying that she has no problem signing the NDA because she's quote-unquote not gonna do anything malicious anyway. Her real question should have been why she needs an NDA, because by the time he told her, I'm sure it was nothing like what she would have expected. Eventually the conversation moved to WhatsApp, and that's when he said, I will be straight with you. I have a few fantasies I want you to fulfill. Naughty Habibi, what are they? And that's when bro says, and I kid you not, I am into scat play, fartophilia, and homos animus. Before you say anything, you can decline. I do not mean to offend you. The girl, like most of you watching, probably has no idea what that means, and she says, Googles. But don't worry, because he's gonna explain exactly what he's talking about. She says, definitely not doing scat play for 30,000, and for the other two, nothing shows up. He says, I can accommodate you. Fartophilia, you fart for me all over my body. Have your blank contact with my nose, mouth, and the elbows. Hummus enema, oh gosh. I shove hummus inside my blank and you push it out into a bowl or my mouth. But her first question is not, are you insane? Do you need psychiatric evaluation? No, instead her first question is, have you done this before? To which he says, yes, many times, with Miami girls too. In fact, I can offer you 40,000. Well, I'm always open to trying new things. Perfection. Maybe you can marry me. Do you have any birthday suit photos? No. Can you send me a video of you farting? Haha, no way, that's not classy. He then proceeds to send her some poop emojis with some roses as if that's the most romantic thing on earth and tell her to rest well. And of course, once she sees the money, her response is sweet dreams, my prince. And the funny part is, we may say that we are not sorry for this woman because initially, yes, she did consent to these acts. However, based on what we're about to find out, there is actually no guarantee that she even left the country in one piece after this. Because unfortunately, there was another case where a woman did go through with all of these activities, but in the end, she never made it home alive. You see, the reason for the Dubai porta potty topic even becoming trending a couple of years ago was because of what happened to a popular African influencer by the name of Mona Kiz. Mona was just a normal 23-year-old girl who would post pictures of herself looking beautiful and enjoying life. But despite how her life looked on social media, it seems that she wanted more. And just like that, her life changed the day that she received an invitation to go to Dubai and make tens of thousands of dollars in just a couple of days. Of course, it sounded insane, but But just like the last woman, she decided it would be worth it, and by the same week she was on a flight out of the country. By the time she reached, got settled in and met up with the men, it's unclear exactly what happened in these next moments. After all, what happens in Dubai stays in Dubai, so we will never know the full extent of exactly what she did or how she was getting down. However, somebody in the room decided that they liked what she was doing a little bit too much, so much so that they recorded video evidence of it. Full 4K footage in HD of her with her mouth wide open eating something that was not chocolate. And I don't know if she did something they didn't like or if they had some kind of disagreement, but by the end of the trip, instead of it being deleted, that video found its way onto the internet. And being unable to live with the fact that her friends and family were now seeing her degraded in such a manner, it was that same day that she went on the balcony of her hotel room on the 7th floor and jumped off straight to her horrific death, which surprisingly was caught on video, and I'm not gonna link it for obvious reasons. And to be honest, as much as the common consensus is that she ended it all because of the embarrassment of the video, remember when I said this is a very small part of what actually happened. It is very possible that she was beaten, bruised, and SA'd to go beyond what she initially agreed to do. And the reason I say this is because there's an even more brutal story that happened just a couple months ago and even made the news. And trust me, this one is astronomically worse than anything you just heard.
The Ukrainian model was found battered along the side of the road with medical personnel cataloging a slew of injuries, including shattered limbs, bruising, and lacerations, and even a broken spine.
Meet Maria, otherwise known to her OnlyFans subscribers as Mary Lou. According to reports, Maria was a fairly successful star on the platform, likely making hundreds of thousands of dollars in income. However, one day she received a quote-unquote opportunity and decided that she would travel to Dubai. Now, according to the official reports on the news, she went to Dubai to quote-unquote advance her modeling career. But by this point, I think we know the real reason she ended up in the modern city of sin. One day, as part of whatever agreement she had, she was supposed to take a trip from Dubai to Thailand to meet up with some people. But instead, something happened. She was too tired and ended up oversleeping and missing the flight. A very big inconvenience. However, her worries were alleviated when she bumped into a familiar face at the hotel. It was a Russian man that she had apparently met once before who said, hey, listen, no worries. You can spend the night in my hotel room and by the morning, I'll fly you to Thailand on my dad's private jet. Because she had met the guy before, she felt like she could trust it and went along to his room. But what she didn't know was that there were a couple of his friends secretly waiting in the darkness. When Maria eventually arrived to the room, she got settled in, and eventually the friends made themselves known. In fact, one of the members of the friend group was even another woman. She says that apparently they all spent the rest of the day together having a great time, talking, laughing, joking, and playing games. But unfortunately, that did not seem to last, because the next day when they all woke up, the guys decided that they wanted to get something in return for their generosity. And when she declined their advances, things turned aggressive. And then this happened.
They started to joke, "You belong to us. We'll do whatever you want." They started behaving inappropriately, smashing bottles on the floor. After that, they took my personal belongings, which included my passport.
Once the men prepared to have their way with her, out of the corner of her eye, Maria saw the woman in the friend group, and I quote, stealing one of her expensive dresses, putting it on, and leaving the room for her to be all by herself and used like a ragdoll by her friends. And once that door closed, a massive struggle kicked off, where this girl began to fight tooth and nail for her life against multiple men who were far stronger. But whether it was because she was small or out of sheer luck, she actually somehow managed to escape the room. And lucky for her, she was on a low floor, because she jumped off the balcony and escaped into an abandoned building wearing nothing but her hotel robe. Unfortunately though, if she was agile enough to make that escape, you can best believe that these bigger and stronger men were agile enough to follow her. And she says that she does not remember what happened next. But the next thing she knew, she was waking up on the side of the road to random cars driving past her and an ambulance on its way to collect her broken and destroyed body. Medical reports showed that she sustained shattered limbs, bruising, lacerations, trauma to the head, and even a broken spine. She would now require a wheelchair. But get this. The crazy part is that between the time of her escaping that room and waking up on the side of the road, this was not hours that had passed, oh no. 10 full days had passed where she was missing. Now, if any of us have any common sense, we know that nobody just goes unconscious for 10 full days. That's not how the human body works. We can't even survive more than 3 days without water. Therefore, this leaves a very obvious conclusion. Something is missing. A full 10 days where she quote-unquote does not remember what happened. But it gets even crazier. Coincidentally, the Dubai police actually detained the men who did this to Maria. However, mysteriously, just a couple days later, they were released to walk free without any kind of charges. This girl does not remember what happened, so she can't make a formal accusation, and these guys were released free? If it wasn't already clear what was going on, it would all be confirmed when Maria's mother would come forward and say that her daughter's medical expenses exceeded into the millions, and that they were all being paid for by the local Dubai authorities in exchange for her silence and not saying anything about what actually happened. Which means that the story that we just told probably went a bit different than how she said it did. When the men tried to get aggressive with her and she apparently escaped from the hotel balcony, unfortunately, she never actually got away. Those guys found her that same day, pulled her right back into the room, and so began the 10 days of hell so bad that the literal government was willing to spend millions to not have this information disclosed. Or maybe it was even worse than that, because at the end of the day, we don't know. And if she says anything, then that wheelchair will probably be the last of her problems. And my heart goes out to that girl, because that was genuinely not her fault. But there's one more case that if you thought poop and hummus enemas were disgusting, you have no idea what you're about to hear. And that is really saying something. A few years ago, a text message exchange was leaked between an Instagram model and a high-profile member of the Dubai elite. The exchange begins with him promising a brand new car to her in exchange for a certain quote-unquote favor. She says, "What year is the car?" 2015. "It's nice, but I have a car already. Better give me $50,000. Now, we don't know exactly what the $50,000 is for, but we're about to find out. My guy responds and says, "I can give you 50, but you must also make my camel happy." Now, for those of you who don't know, a camel is not a metaphor for something else. Because Dubai is a desert, camels are very common animals for people to own. But perhaps she didn't get the memo, and so she double checks to ask if bro is really asking her what she thinks he's asking. "Camel?" she says. And if you thought that was bad, bro responded and said, "I'll put hummus around your poop exit, VJ, and boobs, and then my camel will lick you with its tongue." After reading that message, I had to double take, rinse my eyes with bleach, and come back just to see if I was really reading properly. This woman must have been scarred for her life at this point. But then I looked further into the chat, and her response to that insane message was a simple yes. Plus S with camel? Yes. Agreed upon for just 50k and no car. He then proceeds to say, "We can do the AIDS test in Dubai and get back the results on the same day. I'll golden shower the inside of your mouth and head. I will only poop on your boobs and back. 40k USD. But surprisingly, this is where she draws the line, because she actually says no. I guess she has limits after all. But bro knows this type of woman better than we do, and so he asks her a simple question: "More money or you want car?" And her response was lol, money and the car. The next thing in his chat was a consent video, and the rest was history.
"I'm consent and I understand why I'm coming to you, and I'm okay with your fetish, and I promise to keep confidentiality."
This is real.
Yeah, just to make sure that people don't come back to them.
This woman was not only willing to sleep with a literal animal and allow it to lick every intimate orifice on her person, but also to get golden showered and Dubai porta potted, all for the price of just 50k and a set of wheels on the road. You really cannot make this up. And it's very sad, because like the last two women we just discussed, perhaps she thinks the money will come simple and easy. But in this world of horrors, you never know what lies ahead when you step into this game. And I say this to say, to all of the beautiful young ladies out there, no amount of money is worth your dignity, sanity, and certainly not your life. In fact, I would even go so far as to say that if most victims of trauma could simply pay a mere 50k to delete whatever traumatic experiences they've experienced from their heads, they would pay that in an instant. Some would pay millions just to have all of their childhood trauma removed. Don't add trauma to your brain for a price that you would easily pay to remove it. It is never worth it. But while we're on the topic of billionaires, there are actually two brothers who went from literal nobodies to stealing $4 billion in one of the greatest scams of all time, and the craziest part is they were never caught. And if you want to hear the insane story of the Kaji brothers, click the video on your screen right now. And as always, this case has been decoded.